well. Yeah, we can usually pick up a handful a year.
Okay.
So,
That's what I was told at one time, and then I approached them about it, and they said, no way.
okay, well, but now is the time to do it, because Justin's working on his budget for the next year.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and he'll know what their schedule, what his resources look like as well. But it is completely within our ability to pick up the hands and take them. So identify which ones are
That's
part
what I
of
was
it.
told originally, and I approached someone about it, and said, no, we've never done that before.
Yeah, it is.
Huh?
He usually does 4 to 10 a year.
Where? We've never done on my side of the town.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you where, but I know we've kind of got, we've got
Ricky done it.
That might have
ODOT
been,
bought the asphalt, and what they did was come out and they moved around with a grader to bring it down so many feet.
I know, but I said, there's none done on these, we need a bunch done on these. There's not.
well, put together a list and prioritize it. That's important. And have a conversation with Justin. And,
I've been trying to find out how to start that conversation, you just answered that question.
Yeah, I told you, you had to go up and talk to him.
I did. Early on, I
That's what they
did.
did for years. I don't know
I
if
did.
it changed.
that's still our policy.
Okay.
But my question is, that's really kind of a maintenance issue. Do we need to keep it on this list? I mean, I just wanted to ask the question.
No, that's a maintenance.
I'm new to this, so.
I don't know. I'm kind of in the deal. If we take it off this
Yes.
list, then we kind
It's
of,
out of sight and out of mind.
This should be between
Yeah.
you guys and that man up there.
well, but if we leave it on there and there's some additional funding come out that we can use to do more than a handful a year, I think it's good to have it on there. Not necessarily it has to be a top priority,
Your guys'
but leave it on there.
I would prefer that it stayed on,
Okay.
personally.
Let's leave it on. PU 748, flooding concerns at Route O at Jones
Yes.
Creek. I recommend leaving that on the list.
Yes, that needs a bridge is what it needs, and that would pretty well eliminate that. Or some bigger culverts, elevated a little bit.
It would probably need a bridge. It's usually not flooded for very long, but,
No.
when it does flood, it's usually fairly deep.
Yes, it's also a safety issue.
PU 749, extend the climbing lanes to the top of the hill. Right now, it's the on-ramp, but extending that all the way up to the top of the hill for a climbing lane, I recommend leaving that on the list. PU 750 A and B are a couple of things that were added last year as a conversation we were having with some of the folks in this room, in addition to some folks at the fort. An overpass interchange connecting GW to Southside Drive, I recommend leaving that on the list. And extending Southside Drive to connect to Superior Road, I recommend leaving that on the list. PU 751, lighting and sidewalks along the North Outer Road, I recommend leaving that on the list. PU 752, extension of the runways, the airport, I recommend leaving that on the list. And PU 753, safety visibility concerns at the exit 159 on-ramp, I recommend leaving that on the list.
I think you need to extend it.
How do we,
I think they need to extend it.
Even take out the rock there where you can see.
They got to rock something because there's more
well,
accidents on
that
that hill
whole
right there.
section
at that
from
ramp.
there to 156 needs redesigned. I mean,
It's terrible. We have a lot of
Yeah,
fatalities.
if it sprinkles out there, there's a semi turned over at the bottom of the hill.
Yep.
Well, you may notice, about 3 months ago, we did a calcified
I
bauxite.
did see that, yeah.
And that appeared, 3 months is not enough time to collect
Right.
enough data to definitively make a statement, but it does appear to be helping.
It does, you're right. And
So-
I think a little more banking at the bottom of the hill as well.
The water crosses at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right before you get to the bottom of the turn, you got about a 40, 50 yard run there where all that water crosses right there. And you see it when the trucks hit it. Their trailers look like it just lifts their trailers up and they have no control. But the water
calcified
crosses.
The calcified bauxite would help with that.
Yeah.
But I wish we had that stuff across the entire length of I-44, but it's fairly pricey.
Yeah.
Because the material actually comes from Southeast Asia. That's the only place in the world that makes it, that has a calcified bauxite. And we don't have any materials domestically that's anywhere near as abrasive and long-lasting, durable as that stuff. And then also, if you had a chance to watch it put down, it's put down by hand. Because it's calcified bauxite, and then the binding agent is two-part epoxy. And right now, the market, there is no equipment that can do that.
In the whole process.
The whole process. So there are guys out there with squeegees putting down the two-part epoxy, and then that calcified bauxite is distributed across the top of it. And then once it's set, the excess is swept off. But it works really well. And if you drive across I-44, you'll notice a lot of locations where historically we've had a lot of wet weather accidents. We put down that calcified bauxite, and that stuff lasts for about 8 years, which is our paving cycle on I-44.
Yeah.
give or take. So there are continually more places where you're going to see those stretches. If you are a motorcycle enthusiast, I would not recommend laying your bike down on that stuff.
I'd say.
It will scrape the skin right off your bone.
Noted, right, Jimmy?
It reminds me
I sold
of
both mine, so I'm good.
strips that you put on steps.
Yes.
With the sandpaper. That's what it reminds me of.
Same approach, just far more expensive material. But you're absolutely right. There are, like I said, I recommend leaving this on the list. There are additional improvements there that need to be made. There was a reason why that ramp isn't longer. Because it's going to cost a lot of money to make that ramp longer, because there's a giant hole there.
Yeah.
So, part of the solution is cutting back the material that's in between the on-ramp and I-44 and putting that material in the hole. By doing that, you improve visibility for the folks on the on-ramp, and you can extend that on-ramp and make that merging area longer. It's a really expensive project, but I do recommend leaving it on the list. And I think, it was your top priority last year.
So are there other needs? Are you hearing anything else?
Something that's been brought to my attention on several occasions is the North Outer Road east from St. Robert. Paul's Furniture there, out east. At night, there's a lot of people walking on the road.
Yeah, there's lights on here, wasn't there?
Yeah.
You seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, putting lights up a
Well,
little.
that needs a sidewalk.
Yes.
Out east,
Which one is it? We've got.
He's
it's on
talking
the
about the
list.
North Outer Road.
North Outer Road, out of St.
Yeah,
Robert.
it'd be
From
right
the truck
there.
stop to Paul's Furniture.
Paul's Furniture.
Yeah.
It would be,
So we got that one.
They
All
call
the
it
homes,
South Robert down the road,
subdivisions
it's
through
what we
there.
call it.
But anyway, that was brought to my, been brought
There's
to my
lights on
attention.
here somewhere.
Well, we got it on, in St. Robert's at J.H. Williamson and Maintenance Building.
No, we
You
got-
wanna just
There's-
say,
there's-
I've never
additional-
seen that one on the list. I've never seen that one on the list.
there,
No,
right here,
no,
PU
it's not.
751. Lighting and sidewalks
Yeah.
along North
There
Outer
it is.
Road,
Okay.
28 to Y.
I knew it was on here. I was-
What
Yeah.
number? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
751.
Yeah,
Okay.
751.
I believe
But
that.
the other
We
out
had
road.
what, 1 or 2 deaths on there so far.
The south side,
People
they have
walking
sidewalks on it till about Woodridge.
again.
Yeah, closer up to exit 163, we got that Dollar General going in now. There's the mini golf place across the road.
Yeah, and it probably needs to look at a crosswalk there at least.
Yeah, there needs to be a crosswalk there.
Yeah,
And
At
that's on
28 Junction.
South.
that would be
No,
on the south outer
basically-
road, off Z Highway basically. That's still considered Z Highway all the way
Putt
out.
golf over here and Rains is over here.
Well,
You got a
it's,
ton of people in traffic. There's a big
We have sidewalks to
parking lot over there
Woodridge
also where
Estates,
people are just
basically.
crossing Z
So,
Highway and
What
there's
I'm
no
hearing is you
crosswalk.
want to add a 754,
Probably.
Need a crosswalk.
so additional pedestrian facilities
Yes.
along Route Z
Yes,
There you
to,
go.
to the Highway 28.
Yeah.
to the Highway 28.
To Highway 208, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a lot of people walking across there.
Well, and I think
You're walking at
the,
night too, which is horrible, that North
And
Outer
then,
Road.
and then in pedestrian traffic, you also want to consider someplace, I know there's not as much, but Southside Road, that subdivision right in there, you get a lot of walkers, and since there's not as much mowing going on the shoulders and in the ditches, that grass has really grown up, so nobody will walk on the shoulder, they'll walk on the road.
yeah,
There's also a
Highways.
lake that forms right past McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's 6-8 inches deep across it.
Yeah.
Dump trucks. you lose
And that's
all-
on
Cause it's
South
hurt,
side.
that's the problem, and there's no storm sewer.
There could be.
Well, in Highway 17, basically from Waynesville all the way out, I don't know what the craze is now, because I don't like riding a bike, but there's all kinds of people riding bikes, and there's no good way to get around them, pass them, and then come up on them, and then just, there they are.
And I believe,
Is it maybe 700?
no, it's the other one.
Then you gotta get people to use them. We got one guy riding a bike, this motorized bicycle, and he's riding the road instead on the sidewalk.
We got bike paths on there.
And 728 was added by Mayor Hartman a few years ago.
And did you get 755?
755 is.
Can we restate 728 to go,
Okay.
not just from Buckhorn
South
to
side, that could be
courthouse,
as simple as
but
just,
extend
you know,
it maybe
widening the shoulder,
to,
you know, gravel,
say,
just a walking
You can
path.
always say Robert.
well, 17 goes south though,
Well,
Buckhorn to courthouse.
Yeah, and they
Go all the way to the Texas county line.
You go through the creek too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Cleet County line. Well, on on 728, it's got Buckhorn to courthouse. Construct sidewalks or bike paths or crosswalks. Well, really, I mean, where it gets bad seems like to me, which Buckhorn to courthouse would be great, but where it gets bad is where you head out 17 south and AB and 17 split. That's where you get, you know, Mark Twain National Forest on both sides. You come around the corner, there's somebody there, a group of 4 guys riding a bike. And
that is the Route 66. Is that not right? AB?
AB is
is
66, yes.
So we get a lot of people that ride bikes and stuff, bicycles across US, and they'll take 17
Yeah.
south to AB
Yeah,
and cut across.
yeah, so,
'Cause
Yeah, we
that's
could
the
do
original.
okay. Just, I mean, just to add to them,
Do you want, so do you want to say from Buckhorn to Chorus and
Or
from,
from courthouse to AB.
yeah, courthouse to,
so from Buckhorn to AB?
No,
Well, from courthouse.
Courthouse to
courthouse
AB.
to AB, yeah.
AB's past Buckhorn.
Yeah,
Yes, because that's the Route 66, and people ride them bikes. Then you'll get antique cars that go out through there real slow.
yeah, the Model Ts that run
Model
20
Ts.
mile an hour
Yeah.
all the way across.
So it's, I'm okay, on south side, is that a state route? or-
Yes, south side,
South side,
yes,
yeah.
it is.
Okay,
It's all moving.
Hunter's Point, yeah.
okay. So, did I hear, yeah, Mayor Lordson's here, we might have to talk about the airport a little bit. And kind
Okay,
of the
yeah.
status of, I think we had a question on
The
738.
738. So 738 is update master plan and improved terminal. It's my understanding the master, the master plan's been approved, right?
No, not yet. They're finishing it up. It should be done the next 30 days.
Yeah, and
It's the,
they-
what do they call it? Terminal area master plan.
and they brought in, or are going to bring in some temporary terminal,
Yeah, we've got those. They've been up there a year and a half.
okay.
Yeah,
But,
we spent about $2 million.
and you gotta do that for a period of time before like.
No. We had to have that because of 30 passenger plane. Now we're up to a 50 passenger plane. And we had to put those in because they didn't have enough room. So we had to improve that one contours.
Okay, so do we need to keep it on the list?
Oh, yeah, it's about 10.2 million. Burns McDonald has engineered, they're doing the environmental, that's what's holding up this. And then they had to do a financing plan. But we have talked to our congressional representatives, and I think it may be in this 1.2 trillion that just got passed. So we'll see. But we think we got funding in there, so we'll see if it's in there or it'll be in some other one, so.
Keep it on the list.
Yeah, it's got a place to park 2 planes and the terminal and parking lot, so there's 3
And correct me,
projects.
you guys are getting pretty close to 20,000 riders a year, aren't you?
No, not yet. We still haven't gone over 10,000.
10,000 is what I meant.
Yeah, 10,000. We're getting real close to that. We got a 92 last year.
Because when you get past the 10,000, the airport reports directly to the FAA, don't they?
I don't know, I know we get $1 million if we go over 10,000.
Okay.
We get 600,000 right now.
I know they're getting ready, just that 10,000 threshold changes a lot of things.
So everybody flying 400.
They dropped us out of the military grant process. We got to go through the FAA. That's what did change.
Yeah. Yeah, we need a separate road from Waynesville straight to
Yeah,
the
we've
airport.
had that designed. It's $22 million, so you guys got any money?
We get over that 10,000 mark, we got the first million.
Yeah.
Well, SkyWest says for 2022, they're going to do 18 to 20,000, so we'll see how it goes, so. But they only got 2 years to prove themselves, so. They seem to be doing pretty good. They did a good October, 3 weeks, they did equal to what Contour was doing, so. When Contour got out of the pandemic, but anyway. Yeah, it's going pretty good.
Good.
But there's a lot of engineer stuff that MoDOT Aviation is required now.
So are there any,
Federal government, but yeah.
are there any other needs across the county state system that we need to add? Hearing about?
Like I said, one of the big ones that I get is an improvement at that 163 exit for all the trucks coming.
That's 28.
We got that
Every
one
time you
there.
put something up, they run over it. Needs to be widened there.
Well, in the Route 66 through Devil's Elbow, the old part, it's terrible. You know, it needs all resurfaced. It could be wider, and it actually
That's
would
a
be.
Z- Now, when you're talking Z Highway, you talking
Z
all the way to J?
Well-
Or are you just talking Z Highway through
Well, and see, there's
228?
what they consider like a business route that cuts off their
That
Judy's
was my
place
question.
and goes
Well, this was-
teardrop, yeah.
This was added several years ago, primarily because of the condition of the concrete section.
That's the
Yeah.
part we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's just 3 Devil's Elbow.
Yeah.
Yes, that goes to J Highway.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's actually two portions of that. There's the 4-lane portion and then the 2-lane portion.
Yeah, which teardrop would be the 2-lane portion that cuts off, goes
It's
over,
the
has the
old original
lookout, and it's
portion.
the original 66 route. So that, I don't know if that can be added to that or how that works, because technically, I guess that is a county road.
He's talking about, that actually goes through Devil's Elbow.
Yeah,
The teardrop, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
I
county.
actually have added that. We have a regional transportation plan that focuses on needs for all of our counties and cities. It includes the state system needs, but it also includes non-state system needs. So that is
Okay.
in the regional transportation plan,
Okay.
but it technically isn't on this list because
Right.
it's not
It's
on
not
the
a
state
state.
system,
Okay.
correct?
so last year, your top priority was 753, which is the exit 159 on-ramp extension. Number 2 priority was 712, which is the
That's what-
S-curve on Highway 17. And then you had 744, which is the humps on 133, outside of, between Richland and Tweedborg. And then 723, which is Route C, between Highway 28 and 123 near, and 133 near Dixon, again, the humps outside of Dixon there. So those were your top 4 priorities. And what happens, you know, with your priorities, then those 4 priorities get presented to the Regional TAC Board, and everybody votes on them, and then that prioritized list is what we work with MoDOT to try to incorporate into the STIP. We also use that list now for the unfunded tier projects. So MoDOT has the STIP, but then we kind of have a list of projects anticipating the additional funding, which is now being signed into law, and the fuel tax, that kind of identifying projects that might move more quickly into the STIP as more money becomes available. So what we need to hear from you is, you know, are these priorities still the same, or what do we need to change?
Give me those numbers, please.
So 753,
753.
yeah, was number 1. 712 was number.
And Bonnie, can I interject something?
Uh-huh, yes.
753 was also voted on TAC, and MRPC is the #1 priority for the MRPC, so
Okay.
it's at
So
the top
last
of the
year that
list.
was
So
So 753 is number one, 712 was number two, 744 was number three, and then 723 was number four last year. And as the mayor said, then 753 was the top priority for MRPC after our regional priority of Highway 63.
I say we leave it as top priority again.
That's where most of our wrecks are on the interstate.
Yep.
And fatalities.
Okay, so everybody in agreement on number one?
Yep.
So then the number two.
It sounds, based on some of the comments that you had, it sounds like you might want to consider a couple of these other projects as your number 2 and 3.
It kind of, I mean, in my opinion, it does, because we've got more and more people on the sides of the roads walking, riding bikes, or just flat out, they're walking to work, they're walking, you know, as you move out in the counties with available rental areas now, you know, they still work to Waynesville and walk from Buckhorn to Waynesville, or Crocker to the south side of town to, you know. So I think some of them, and I don't know how they classify them, but those are some projects I think can be done without spending a ton of money that are feasible to get done.
Well, 2 projects that you mentioned specifically that I thought you might want to maybe include in this list is the Route H bridge over the Ruby Doo, with the increase in in traffic out there, and the lighting and the sidewalk facilities along the North Outer Road. Sounds like you're getting a lot of complaints about that.
Well, we had the one gentleman that worked there, Road Ranger, got hit and killed right coming through there. That was what, 2 years ago? 2 years. Happened.
Is that
About a
not
few
the
people
one,
get hit in there.
Is that not the one we're partnering with the county?
It's all the
or
way to the
city?
bottom.
No, we're partnering with the city of the intersection there.
Okay.
That's just an intersection shop.
Okay.
And then, of course, I don't know how we can mix it up, but the intersection at 163.
No, the interchange.
44. I don't know how we can move that.
They started working on that, but they're doing the ramps, aren't they?
Oh, you mean
Right
the
now.
night work?
Yeah.
Well, work isn't on the ramps, it's on I-44, but it's right there at the ramps.
Tell me to get up there and widen that a little bit.
This is just pavement
They're
repair.
already there with the equipment.
So is that 745?
So you're talking, Preston, about 730, 751, and then you said 745
Yes.
possibly is a 2, 3, and 4?